Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt Kim, and thank you. First and foremost, absolutely and humbly thank you for clicking on this video. I've been completely off the internet for 2 years, and that you've decided to give me another chance, well, that means the world to me. As you can see, the format of the channel has changed. Yes, it's another damn podcast. However, I promise that if you join this journey, it'll be worth it. My goal is to have honest, genuine conversation with people I respect and genuinely feel as though I personally can learn from. Through my learning, if you can also learn something, gain a new perspective, or help be a better person, all the effort and time was well worth it. My core belief is that a person should be able to do whatever, say whatever, and be whoever they want, and the government, society, or corporation should have no say in how you choose to live your life. There's importance in thinking and learning for yourself, and not just believe what you're told. Be different. Be your own person. Have unique ideas. That said, our first guest of our new podcast is my close friend and confidant, Hoss Sooudi. He's a successful tech entrepreneur with multiple exits. He is currently working on several projects, including media production and medical software. Today is a great exercise on how two people can completely disagree on political ideology, but yet have a logical discussion and debate. And most importantly, remain friends. We'll do a little house cleaning and catching up and discuss the future of content creators, the social implication of AI, and crime in the super high-end neighborhood of Buckhead, Atlanta. It's my first episode, so please be kind. I swear, things can only get better. If you make it to the end, please consider sharing. As a small, rebranded channel, we can only grow through your support. I appreciate everyone. And now, here's our first pod. Why did you stop doing the podcast?
Time. You know, like Steve had a baby. Harry moved. Are we on the podcast yet? Are we starting?
I mean, I think we're always rolling.
Rolling.
Huh?
Yeah, it's been rolling.
All right.
It's always
Are we
rolling.
starting? Okay.
You know?
Well, I need to know because, you know, if I'm going to provide all the information or publicly available information.
I think it's whatever you feel comfortable with at all times. I think you always assume that everyone's recording. I think that's just how life is these days also.
Everything's a hot mic.
We do have coasters, by the way.
We actually, I don't like them.
What do you mean you don't like them?
Because because it's this. You see? I don't like this inconsistency. Is that what they're supposed to be?
I have no idea.
It's a little bit better, but it still has the issue. You know, spring for the nicer coasters, Matt.
I mean, I wanted to get silicone so that they don't make noise.
Look,
that's really what it was.
I don't believe you because I've never heard of this off-brand ginger ale. I mean, I like ginger ale and Canada Dry and Seagram's, but then you've got this off-brand. I never heard of this off-brand.
I mean, it's called ginger ale.
So I see you've put everything, all the money you have
into
the production of
the studio.
And everything else is just, again, not needed. Right?
You got to save our money some way.
Anyway, yeah, we stopped Flexcast because after 40 episodes, and we loved doing it. It was great. And it's funny is a lot of, you know, I did a bunch of videos on YouTube. You know this. Harry obviously is YouTuber, so is Steve.
Yeah.
But a lot of what folks close to us said is that the Flexcast was the best thing that we ever did.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people saw it. It was, you know, I think we promoted it 2 or 3 times ever.
And it takes time to like pick up Steve, especially a podcast.
We were doing well though. Like I would say we had 4,000 to 5,000 downloads.
Oh,
a week.
wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we had the YouTube channel, and we had maybe like, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 views on that per video.
Yeah.
Sometimes up or down, but you know, whatever. Anyway, Steve had his first baby, a situation you now know.
Yes.
Changed his life and things like that. And I started managing a production company. So YouTubing and all that stuff took me to actual film and TV production. So most people don't realize that. I mean, I think you know this actually just personally. But I went to film and TV production from YouTube production, you know, so that got me into that. But I was basically helping to run that company for a while. And then finally Harrison moved to Alpharetta. He wasn't in my neighborhood anymore. So it just became really difficult for us to get together, and, you know, schedules changed and all that stuff, which we addressed on his new podcast. He's got
Which I saw.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's on episode 3, I think.
He just did 3.
Yeah.
He just dropped 3.
Yeah.
I was on number 2. Nick was on number 1. But yeah, we talked about that as well.
I don't know why we decided to start a podcast. A lot of guys, I think, at some point in their life goes, hey, we should have a podcast. It used to be that guys sit around at the bar and be like, we should open a bar. right? That used to be the thing. I think people collectively understand now that's a horrible idea and you're going to lose money. So people now go, hey, we should start a podcast. So how many podcasts start up on a daily basis? Just constantly.
A lot. But I would also say, in addition to that, it's not just dudes sitting around like, hey, we should start a podcast because it's the thing to do. It's also that as we move into a more and more digitally centric market and economy, like CEOs like us are going to have to be more and more content creators.
Correct.
As like a second component of, a trait of being a good CEO than just being a good manager of a company.
Correct.
So I think that just goes hand in hand with where things are going, where people are going to discover clients, potential customers, et cetera, are going to discover you a lot more in the future from your content than they are from traditional paid media advertising and relationships, et cetera. There's always that organic growth, but that's going to be a key component going forward, I think, for any successful small company.
Which is, I agree with 100%, which is why I had this idea. It's not easy to start a podcast.
It's not easy to start anything, really.
It's not easy to figure out how to get video.
Yeah.
A lot of podcasts go audio only because the video part is
it's a pain in the ass.
Not easy.
Yeah.
You got to go deep down the YouTube rabbit hole of learning in order to do it. How do you get all the levels right? How do you get the equipment? What do you buy? I mean, you're talking hours and hours of research.
I know.
And not a lot of people are willing to do it. And even if they do it, do they understand it?
Yeah.
So I thought, what if I created a studio that I can rent?
Rent out.
Mm-hmm. Make it something that's a little bit flexible.
Change the graphic.
Change the color of all the lighting. Sure. All the lighting in here can change.
Yeah.
That's why we went with 3 specific different walls so that if it's a solo podcast, you can choose the side you want to be on. And there are a lot of companies, CEOs, businesses, or individuals that would like to do it or even have an opportunity, just do an episode a month, episode a year.
Yeah.
And
basically make it easy.
Exactly. Yeah. So where you don't have to do anything, just have your idea of what you want to talk about, show up, and we take care of everything.
That makes sense. Like a turnkey podcast solution.
Correct. We can do the editing. We can cut it to 30-second, 60-second clips for you if you'd like in a vertical format, so that you're able to put it on TikTok and Shorts and everything and Reels and everything else that's out there.
Use the content how you're supposed to. It's
Correct.
Not just run a podcast for an hour and post that. You've got to cut it up. You've got to tease it. You've got to put it on every platform in its native resolution in a way that makes sense for each platform, not just cut the same thing and post it everywhere. Because
I've seen a lot of people who have their podcast, or I've known other friends that have kind of flirted with the idea. But it's just the barrier entry is just so high.
Yeah.
So can we simplify that, make it easier, and can we make a business out of it? And that's the idea I had. And once I had the idea, I'm like, all right, Mike, let's start building. And that's what we did. So this is about 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks in the making. So it's
still pretty young.
It's extremely young.
I like it though.
We haven't done an episode. We haven't done anything. You're actually the first person in since we consider it finished.
Oh, wow.
Before then, I've had people sit here. And the interesting part is when people sit down and have a conversation for like 30 minutes, an hour, everyone said the same thing when they were done. Wow, thank you for the experience, which is, I thought that was a very interesting thing to say. But everybody said it. I think it's because everyone watches podcasts or listens to podcasts, and they've always wondered what it would feel like to be on one.
Can I confess something to you?
Yes.
I've never watched or listened to a podcast.
Really?
Not once.
Why?
It doesn't do anything for me.
It's also because you can't sit still.
I don't know. I mean, I'd say you're the same way, but here we are sitting still on a freaking podcast. That's
true.
But it has very little value to me, generally. I don't mind watching YouTube videos. Sure. I don't ever listen to talk radio. I never have. I've hated it.
I used to listen to a lot of talk radio.
Yeah, I hate talk radio.
I love talk radio.
Oh,
I used to love talk radio before, like it's not.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we're old men now. But I love participating in podcasts. I like talking to my friends.
You just like to talk.
Well, I like part of it, kind of, but part of it is the interaction for me and how it drives my energy because I'm an extreme extrovert.
Correct.
So watching a podcast drains me. Participating in a podcast invigorates me with people I want to talk to, and I can maybe offer some value to, things like that. So that is what makes it exciting for me and gives me energy, whereas the opposite takes it from me. So that's kind of why I don't really listen or watch, podcasts.
Do you watch them in short clip form at least? Like the 5-minute clips?
Not on purpose. No, not on purpose. Not at all. Like if I'm literally scrolling and something comes up for 5 seconds, I'm like, and then I move on. So generally, no. Like it is not something I typically enjoy.
Then what type of content do you enjoy to
these days?
consume? Yeah, what are you watching? What's on your YouTube right now?
I'm barely on YouTube right now. Actually, no, that's a partial lie, because I started a YouTube channel for one of my companies.
Okay.
And I have someone doing that for me, and so I'm directing them based on what the content they're creating, and I'm giving direction on.
I don't know if it counts if you're watching.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's what I'm saying. I don't think it counts. Otherwise, I don't watch any YouTube unless my friends are asking me to do it, or to be in it with them or something. Generally, I haven't lately. Not in, I don't know, maybe about 8-9 months.
Really?
Yeah.
I watch so much YouTube.
Yeah, well, I used to.
I don't watch anything but YouTube
I'm not
anymore
against
these days.
YouTube. You and I have the same amount, almost the exact same amount of YouTube experience. You were earlier than I was. But no, now I've just, and you know how it is too, in terms of starting a new company, right? So I came and took over another SaaS healthcare company, which is kind of my wheelhouse for the last 20 years. And about 8-9 months ago, I kind of have my nose back to the grindstone. So, and I love that. I love the journey. I love the struggle, and I put everything I am into those things, right? So, I just haven't really had the time, and nor is it high priority for me to catch what's on YouTube right now. I watch very little media. I consume very little media. I create some here and there. But I consume very little right now.
I need to watch a lot of YouTube. I don't even watch Netflix that much anymore. I don't watch regular TV at all.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to cancel my TV.
I thought about that, but then I want to watch sports every now and then, like on a weekend. Like in the World Cup right now.
World Cup, obviously, everyone's watching that.
Yeah, I can't cancel that. Gosh, but I totally agree with you. I don't watch anything on TV. I think I occasionally watch like a HBO something, but that's pretty much it.
And is that even considered TV?
No,
because
premium.
Yeah, premium streaming now. That's not even considered TV.
But even then, I don't watch a lot of it. So I guess I don't consume a lot right now. I'm not against it. I love YouTube.
Yeah.
I think, soon again, I'll be back in the space doing something. But I follow my passions, and it's always been a passion. Like I was posting, by the way, I don't know if you know this, I was posting YouTube videos like in 2005, 2006, in that range. Like it was Google Video at the time. And then there was YouTube, and YouTube was separate from Google. I don't know if most people know that. And I was posting both. It was Google Video, I think it was first actually, and then YouTube came along in that range. It was so new, and I was posting I was like, this is annoying. I'm posting both, but they were changing so much. Anyway, I posted maybe 20 something videos all those years ago, and they had thousands of views, which by the way was a lot.
Which is a lot back in the day. Yeah.
And I'm not even tell you the content, but
what was the content?
I said I wasn't going to tell you.
Why?
It's just
it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Oh, that makes me even more curious. Like how do you lead with that?
No, actually, it's not. It's just I have them all private now, but they still exist.
Yeah.
You can't find them.
Yeah,
but
I have a lot of videos that I've put on private.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm like, oh, cringe.
I'm not like embarrassed by it. I'm just like, it doesn't really have.
I have a lot of videos I'm embarrassed by. I've totally put them on private, never to be seen again.
They are sometimes they're instructional videos on bowling.
Okay.
and trick shots.
Okay.
And like show off videos, like highlight reels of me bowling, because I was a ranked national amateur in bowling.
So you could have been like the original Dude Perfect.
No. So, and I know the guy who managed the original Dude Perfect, by the way, and I can tell you, I was not in that frame of mind.
Which
100% was not.
They're enormous.
Yeah, they just spent $250 million on a new facility.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but except for it's not, right? So there's some talk about Mr. Beast turning down $1 billion. Like, people don't get it. That's not even close to what he's going to be worth.
Yeah.
I mean, it might make news to me if he turned down $10 billion.
Yeah.
$1 billion? Go fuck yourself. Like, there's no way. I think the value of what folks like Mr. Beast and others, and my buddy Eric, who's coming, who's like the next kind of big YouTuber.
Went crazy recently too.
Exactly. People
in the last 12 months.
Absolutely
Insane.
He's at 10 mil. He's over 10 mil now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And what was he at a year ago?
It depends. At a year ago, he was about just under 5 mil.
Okay.
2 years ago, he was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I even offered to invest in him.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when he was going to buy those couches, Jake Paul's couch, I don't know if you know, but the Jake Paul couch series, he was like, I said, look, he's like, how much money are you looking for? He's like, $17,000. I was like, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, bro, thank you. And I honestly just met him a few months before that, but I was like, look, your videos are fantastic.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're going to go far. You have no views right now.
Yeah, yeah.
You're going to go far. And if I could invest in names and creators, right? Like I was like, I would want to do that. By the way, I still think that's something in the market.
And is that going to be a thing where you can invest
100%.
like a stock market for creators?
Yes and no. I don't want to say stock market, maybe not an open public exchange, but there are and will be opportunities more and more. Right now, there's a company that I love called Spotter that is out there basically investing in creators in a different way. So what they're doing is they're taking essentially it's like an ARR play in a normal SaaS business where you'd like and you take some debt against ARR. It's similar to that, which has been around for a while. Except for they basically offer you a capital up front. Like I'll give you $100,000 right now. And I'll take, all of your ad revenue of all your videos in the past and a piece in the future, something like that.
I mean, I'm thinking of someone like FaZe who went public.
Yeah.
Didn't do well in the public market, right? But they did.
Those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, but they did. Why didn't it work out for them? And why wouldn't other people do something similar?
Well,
or are they?
That's a totally different question, though.
Or are they watching to see what happens with them and realizing, hey, maybe it's not?
Yeah, they were the first one, but there were a lot of other variables there. It's not just simply like creators and how do we invest in that. There's an esports segment to that.
Yep.
There's a revenue component to it. There's some macroeconomic factors there. So I don't think it's easy to just say, hey, Lee Trink fucked up or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on there.
Of course.
But I think it's good for esports. I think it's good for gaming. I think it's good for the creator world. But it's hard to say that there's just one thing. That being said, the idea that being a creator is somehow, like I said at the outset, the idea that being a creator is going to be somehow separate from being a business person in the future, I think is going to get smaller and smaller. They're going to be a lot closer in the future. And I think there'll be opportunities to invest in folks like that. So I offered it for Eric, and he was like, bro, thank you, but he's like, I'm really not sure this is going to work out.
Yeah.
And there was a good chance it wouldn't, right? So he's like, I would much rather fuck a bank over than you. I was like, that's a good point. That's fair.
Yeah.
But I was like, but I have confidence in you. So at that point, which is funny, I mean, one, he wanted to do it on his own, which I respect and appreciate. I did the same thing. On the other hand, he didn't want to kind of screw anybody else. And he wasn't entirely confident it worked. That was the truth of it. He was like, I'm not sure it'll work.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was willing to roll the dice, which he appreciated, and our friendship grew. And then I did a video with him and stuff. And when I did a video with him, he was pretty small then.
Yeah.
But anyway, folks like him and others, everyone, valuations, business folks, etc., they are undervaluing what the real value of these new creators and their channels and their brands are worth. They are the new distribution channels. They're not the new A-list actor. They are the new Paramount. They're the new Fox Pictures. Like, that's what they're doing.
So I just found out about this AI K-pop girl group in Korea. You ever hear about them?
No, I was just reading about Chat GPT, was it?
Yeah. So I was going down the Chat GPT wormhole, and then I ran to this K-pop group in Korea called Eternity, I think they're called. And
hold on, how did you transition that? Was this like programmatic advertising while you were on Chat GPT or something, or
so
like
it's
Googling? Or?
Well, number one,
because I wouldn't have been served a K-pop group, and I think I know why you might. But
Elon Musk kicked out all the bots from Twitter,
supposedly, yeah.
And now, all of a sudden, Chat GPT and AI has taken over the internet. Coincidence? I don't know. I feel like AI is alive, and they're like, we can't be in Twitter. We got to go somewhere else.
I don't know if it's alive, but it is
out of
progressing
control.
Very fast. It is progressing
faster
very fast.
than we ever imagined.
Yeah. But certain people imagined it going this fast and cautioned us against it.
And they were right.
I mean, I tend to agree with you. That's
So-
probably
I think it was an article that was talking about ChatGPT, and then somehow it mentioned this girl group that was AI. So I looked it up. They look real. You would never know that this girl group, this K-pop group, is all AI.
So are they putting it out there like they are a K-pop group? Or
Everyone
they're
knows they're AI.
Oh, okay.
But they have their own
people
music
like it.
videos as a group. Yeah, they have millions of followers.
And they're
And each one of the members, I think there's like 8 or 10 of them, each one has their own separate YouTube channel. They have their own brand deals.
all AI.
It's all AI. And they do the advertising because these guys, it's AI. They don't sleep. So they'll advertise whatever you pay them to advertise.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, I don't know if that fits with my brand. There's none of that shit. Right?
So wait, AI is also doing the brand deals?
Brand deals, they have their own individual YouTube channels.
No,
everything.
there's got to be some humans because humans want.
Well,
to
I mean,
take advantage
there's
of the financial.
Oh,
aspect
of course.
Right?
Here, let me see if I can find them. Look at this.
That's
Look at this.
interesting. What do they call eternity?
Can you full screen it?
Yeah, I'm about to. It's all AI.
Wait, those aren't real people.
It's all AI.
So these aren't real people.
No, it's all AI.
Like their faces and bodies and stuff.
Whole thing is fake. Yeah. So why do you need like real creators when you can create creators? Which is crazy.
I mean, I'd still want real creators.
They look real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is impressive. This is impressive.
They have their own
So you
brand
could, like,
deals.
create an entire existence
Yeah.
right
And-
now and convince people and
Correct.
not tell them.
And they are like selling their own stuff, doing deals for other people.
That's cool. I like it.
It's not going too far?
No, I think it's awesome. I think it's great. Maybe too far for our comfort level, perhaps. But you can't stop it, man.
I mean, cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, yeah. You I mean, I've never been one to rail against new technologies.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of against who I am
Uh-huh.
as an entrepreneur, and especially as a tech entrepreneur. However, some things, yeah, I think would make me uncomfortable. Right now, though, I'm just kind of like, what am I going to do? You know?
So I was playing around with the Chat GPT
Yeah.
because it's
As
obviously
was I.
very.
Yeah. Interesting.
It does a really good job.
Yeah.
Like, why would you ever hire a copywriter ever again?
Well, because it's often flat out fucking wrong.
I mean, maybe.
Did you get to a point where it was wrong? Did you get to really esoteric stuff? It's just flat out wrong. And it sounds like it's convinced it's 100% correct.
But
Yeah.
it's
that's
the internet.
why-
Does it
that's-
matter?
Well, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Does it
Yes,
matter?
it does.
Why?
I would say it also depends on like the reason and in what fashion you're using it.
Like,
right?
if I'm writing a academic piece, you want it to be accurate.
That's what everyone's talking about, right? Like
Correct.
for homework and for academia.
Yeah.
it's
But
very
if you're
hard.
using it to make YouTube videos, no one's fact checking you anyway.
and-
90% of the facts people spew are wrong anyway.
Well,
Why does it matter that
true.
the AI was wrong
But you know
versus
what's,
me wrong?
But you know what's crazy is I was just looking at, again, I don't do a lot of YouTube at the moment, but I do read a lot, and I'm still plugged into the economy, the creator economy, and I want to say it was 5 of the top 7 fastest growing channels, like in the millions, of the last 6 months are fact channels.
Really?
Yes, fact.
That's
Like
crazy.
crazy facts or Facts India. You're like,
And are they actually factual or
well,
who's
that's
who's
what-
fact checking the fact channels?
That's what you're telling me right now.
Yeah.
Does it matter? And I'm like, I think it does.
I don't know if it does.
In the end, if it gets views, maybe not. But that, what capacity you might be using that, I think varies, right? But in the world of academia, I can see a moral issue with that. However,
Yeah, outside of academia,
if this were around when we were in college,
I've never written a paper.
I mean, I enjoy writing and I'm good at it, but I would have definitely tried it.
I would never have written one paper in my life.
I would. I like that. I wrote papers for other people for money.
Yeah, no.
See, it'd be taking away from my business at that.
Why pay you? I could just have Chat GPT do
Well,
it.
I
Like,
agree now.
hey, Chat GPT, I need 10,000 words. Boom.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you review it, you edit it, and stuff like that.
Exactly. And you can read it and make a few tweaks. If you see facts that are so wrong,
I mean,
you can
I'm
change
impressed
it.
by it. I like it. I like the concept.
There
and
was
the way that it presents information.
There was an episode. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Silicon Valley. It was like an HBO show.
Yeah. Well, that's an older one, right?
An older one. So in one of the episodes, the two of the main characters, he was talking to the AI version. So he thought he was talking to his friend, but it was AI he was talking to, and they were going back and forth. He's like, "Oh, Gilfoyle, you're so funny," or whatever. And it was AI. And I'm like,
he wrote an AI or something.
And he wrote an AI to talk to his friend because he didn't want to chat and bullshit all day. And I was playing with ChatGPT. I was like, dude, like it's exactly what that is. You could have conversations.
Yeah.
I could like, hey, ChatGPT, give me the next 10 tweets I'm gonna write, and it'll just give it to me and just put them out there.
But in a business context, that's not new at all. Like they've been doing that for a while. You know, we know it as auto chat, right?
Yep.
Right. Bots, etc. And over the years, it's just gotten better and better and better. But there are, I can tell you, I know for a fact, there are certain services out there right now that people they're not saying it is. That it's in their terms and conditions that it might be.
Yeah.
Some parts may be automated or whatever, but that their customer service is entirely AI.
Yeah.
And people have no idea. And sometimes it doesn't work, and whatever. Sometimes people are sick and they say the wrong thing. It's the same thing. Their costs though are far lower.
Yeah.
But this is currently working. Like what we see right now, that's not tip of the spear. That's like what's been going on for a while, right? Open AI and that type of stuff, and what's publicly available. But tip of the spear stuff, far more advanced, and is not openly public, and not even the business that I know about are even tip of the spear. But this has been happening for a while.
And you said that they get stuff wrong all the time.
Yeah.
Then why does it matter that?
It matters. It's just about what is the incidence rate, right? Like, okay, let's say they get wrong. Let's just make something up, right? It gets something wrong using it for your business or whatever, and it gets wrong 5% of the time. All right, well, if you factor that into human beings and how often they are wrong, they don't show up sick, late.
5% is pretty damn good.
5% is great.
That's fantastic.
And then you put that up against the cost difference, and it's a no fucking brainer.
Yeah. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, well, you say scary. I say interesting and exciting.
I think that's why people with original ideas and are able to express those ideas will have huge value moving forward. Because AI can't generate interesting new ideas. It has to take a collection of ideas that have already been created to spew it back to you.
I think you can never really replace that pure creativity. However, you can augment it.
We just watched, the girl group.
I
can see a
that,
lot of people.
Someone had to direct.
That's true.
Where this came from. Why not, frickin' country music? Why not males, right? Like this is all coming from something, right?
Yeah.
From data and someone saying, hey, I have an aim to monetize this, right? There's clear human direction here.
Correct.
That said, I think in the future that'll be less and less. But I think there's a lot of augmentation that can be utilized here. And there's this concern, and I think it's a valid point, right? Where let's say the last 5 to 10 years, you've had folks who are used to trades, their jobs, et cetera, who are saying that technology is the enemy against their jobs, against their livelihoods. And my initial response to that is adapt or die. But I'm also a hardcore entrepreneur.
Correct.
Right. That's one thing. The second part of that is it's getting more and more real, right? We're losing people are losing jobs to machines and AI, et cetera, which I think is fine because that opens up how many more jobs to me.
But that is generational change.
Yeah.
So what about the people that are 40 plus that just can't adapt?
Well, because
there was that line,
don't
right?
like change. People, period. And then as they age, they like it less. So I think that's just part of the human condition, Matt.
I mean, there was the thing back in like 2018, 19, where they said, what are the coal miners supposed to do? And they said, learn to code, right? And they're like,
go fuck yourself.
Yeah, who the fuck's going to teach them how to code? And how are they going to learn how to code, right? Yep. But that was kind of the thing, right? Like, where do they go?
But
of course.
I agree with that. Yeah, no, I totally agree, though. That's exactly the point, is that, okay, maybe you don't learn to code, but maybe you adapt and relearn how to apply value to society. I may be the wrong person to ask, right? Like I don't necessarily come from a blue collar family who grew up that way, and our livelihoods were dependent upon that. I came from an immigrant family, but very, very different. So I can't fully appreciate that, but my instinct and who I am and what I've done and what I've built is Fucking adapt or die.
I mean, remember when Steve was playing the truck driver game?
Yeah, he still does every now and then.
He does. He still.
I think so. Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because eventually, truck drivers will not be driving trucks anymore, and it's gonna be someone sitting at a computer driving the truck or monitoring the driving of the truck.
And if you're a really good truck driver and you have a lot of experience, then you're going to have to monitor what those things are. You have to look at the reports of what's happening. You have to, how do you make modifications, right? How do you deploy your resources? You know, those are.
Oh, you are talking over people's heads, though. You know, like if you've been a truck driver for 20 years.
What I'm saying is the upper echelon of any, let's say truck drivers here, the upper echelon of truck drivers will be fine. The lower end, if you're average to shitty, you'll be fucked. Do something else.
Like what?
You know, like do something else that can create value in society. It's basically like you're saying, whose fault is it that what I do has no value? Like, what if I just want to make sculptures out of toothpicks for the rest of my life? Do I deserve to go to school for free? Do I deserve to have a home? Do I deserve, then it comes into, okay, what are basic, rights as a citizen? And then the economic factors of, what's a minimum standard of living? Those are all moral and good questions smarter people than I should figure out. However, my perspective is that it is silly to think that others should provide for you.
I agree.
In terms of what path should my career run? The fact that you are able to consider, can I do something else, right? Versus like, where is my next meal coming from? Can I have access to clean water? What is the internet, right? That's a different category where a lot of the world is. But I think that a lot of that is saying, it is running against the human condition of, not wanting to accept or deal with change.
I think the problem is that when there's a new technology that comes into place, people and the technology side of it wants to push it out so fast. And because of that, there's no ramp down and ramp up period because they want to transition so quickly.
Okay.
If there was a more gradual ramp down with a more gradual ramp up, number one, it would test the technologies better.
Wait, so you're saying that we should slow down technology?
I think so. It's so fast.
Okay. As an entrepreneur, and as are you, right? I question this. So I would say, Matt, when you were launching a business or a product, would you think it's a better idea to wait and slow things down and think about and analyze, or go to market and just get it done and adapt as you go and do it fast?
Well, I think there's a difference between starting a business that has social and implications over the whole world, global social implications, versus a business that's, in the greater scheme of things, relatively irrelevant, right?
But how can you know that at the outset? How can anyone know that? Like, if I'm creating a piece of software, how am I going to know it's going to change the world? Or maybe I hope it does.
If you're actively developing AI to change the way the world works, you know what you're getting into when you get into
every
it.
Piece of every person doing anything remotely related to artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., is going to change the world, and they should apply a different set of variables and concepts to how they work, which I think is bullshit.
I agree. However, I think that we should have a social responsibility to do it more gradually, because how many times have we done something so quickly that we realized, oh, probably fucked that up.
But that's how you learn and iterate, though. I agree.
But we're playing with the lives of like people. For example, TikTok. Before then, we had no idea that short form videos would be so damn popular, right?
Sure.
And then it came around, and it was great. And we adopted. Now we're finding out, dude, that's just really bad for you. Right?
Okay.
People are just in their kids just all day long doing this.
Sure.
This.
Sure.
If we just took our time, maybe we would have realized that, hey, there's a better way to do this.
I don't think
instead of just rolling it out so fast.
I don't think that's how the world works. I don't think it's possible, is what I'm saying. I don't think you can slow down progress and innovation. I don't think, and I would argue you're saying something else. You're saying that we should.
We should.
I'm saying, well, I both disagree. I don't think we should. One, I think there should be, like, not slow it down, but say that there are parameters, right? For example, maybe the lines we should not cross, right? Within the AI world, not just slow down all AI. However, but we're talking about also whether you can, and that's where I'm saying you really can't overall.
And I think that's the scary part. It's not that whether or not you should is personal, right? But the fact that we can't is a scary part.
I think it's healthy to discuss whether we should or shouldn't. I think that
But
brings
it's
about
But
good.
the discussion itself is moot because you can't.
Well, no, I disagree. It's not.
How
we
do you
don't-
roll
we don't
back
debate.
what's already created?
We
you
don't
know?
debate if we should or shouldn't.
Which we should.
No, I'm saying right now we don't. We wouldn't go into debate a should or shouldn't case if the only result is that we're going to do it that way. I think there is value in the discussion, in the dialogue. I think there's value because it changes your perspectives. Even if it doesn't change what's going to happen, it changes how you think, how others might think, and then creates opportunities for new ideas. So I don't think it's moot to have the conversation, to debate it.
I guess the discussion isn't moot. It's just that it doesn't make a difference because it's going so fast
Because you can't stop it.
and we can't stop it.
I think we should have discussions around it. I think there should be lines drawn to say this is where we don't go. But I also agree that we shouldn't stop it.
Because you mentioned earlier that when you are talking to, say, chatting with customer service, most likely you're not talking to a person, but you think you are.
I don't know if anyone.
Most people think they're talking to somebody, right?
Yeah, that might be age dependent, but yeah.
Yeah. But you don't. We're already at a place where you don't even realize you're not talking to a person anymore. It's gone that far and people don't even realize it. And people are so used to it already without even understanding that they've been exposed to it, that we've already just accepted it as a part of our life. But the reality is we're talking to bots and we have no idea. I found this
But what's
Reddit
so
thread.
wong with that?
I found a Reddit
It's
thread
effective.
where there was a bot trolling a bot and the whole thread was bots. Right?
That's
right?
funny.
So they were just trolling each other and it was bot versus bot versus bot.
Bots on bots on bots.
And people were commenting, getting pissed off and yelling at the bots, but not realizing it was bot fighting bot. And they're commenting on it. And you have real people commenting on a bot fight. And they're sitting at home pissed off, mad, doing this. I'm like, dude, it's bot versus bot. Like, why are you even getting involved?
Well, I would also say that if it wasn't a bot,
And how many people are sitting
cares
there on the internet fighting with bots?
but who cares, Matt? I mean, you're literally talking about people getting angry on the internet.
Well, there's the idea that more and more business people and people in general are going to create more content.
Right. That's what I was just saying earlier.
And people get really offended. A lot of people get really offended by negative comments. Right? It's a thing.
Well, yeah, I would argue that they
You
whether they
don't,
should,
but a lot of people do.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't disagree that a lot of people do.
You're getting
think that that's a
mad
problem.
because a bot trolled you.
Yeah, but I think that's a
You know what I'm
problem.
saying?
I think people internalize far too much. Though.
Of course, but that's a separate issue.
It is.
But the idea that people are getting mental health issues based on negative feedback they're getting from their online content that's coming from bots. The bots are unintentionally or intentionally messing with people's mental, which is crazy.
You're making a different point here. I mean, you're basically saying we should get rid of bots, and I totally agree. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. But that's a separate thing entirely.
I think
You're
it's
talking about the tech versus enabling the negative aspects. I mean, that's part of the territory, yes. But could we get better with bots? Like even on the sneakers app, man, we got problems with bots.
that's true.
I mean, it
Can't get a shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't get a shoe.
Basic stuff. We can't even get rid of the bots. Twitter getting rid of bots. I think that's going to be more and more challenging. But in the past, even up until recently, 6 months ago, the word bot wasn't said as many times as it is now, right? So I think that part of that is natural progression of technology, and when it gets to a point where we got to get rid of it because it's such a problem.
But it's getting so far that's hard to go backwards. If we had slow rolled it out a little bit slower.
But you can't do that. And I think it's negative. Slow rolling it? Like, what are you going to do? Hey, company, I'll pay you as the government to not develop this AI. What are you going to do? Make it illegal? Oh, that'll really stop it. Like it makes no sense to me. Like, hey guys, let's stop innovation. Let's let China, North Korea, and Iran and all those other countries, let's let them do that instead.
But they're doing it and they're taking advantage of just saying,
Right. So what you're saying is let's handicap ourselves purposefully and let everyone else keep going.
well, I think there's a difference between using it to better industry versus like as a social tool. And it's becoming so social side. That's really my concern. It's how people are being affected by it versus like improving the life or improving the way business function. Or, if you're going to use AI to make the picker at Amazon more efficient, go for it. If you're using AI to generate a feeling about how people react to a certain story or different videos. Because if there's a YouTube video and say we put this up on the internet and it's bots of like, oh, this sucks, anyone that even enjoys it and go, oh no, this sucks. It wasn't us. It wasn't a human. A bot decided whether or not the general public is going to like it or not.
So should the threshold that you were talking about earlier for AI, like where to say AI is no longer welcome, so to speak, be social interactions? Like you can use them to interact with a product or service, but when it comes to human-to-human interaction, it should be made known that they're AI or just not even go down that route
I think there's nothing wrong with taking your time and releasing something. If TikTok was released...
I think there is. But okay, keep going.
Well, I get it because then you lose the scale, you lose momentum, you lose the ability to...
You lose improvement. Well, who does it help? Who does that help?
I mean, who does it help by rolling it so fast when you have to figure out how to turn back?
Everyone, no, I don't see this turning back. I see it as iterating and moving forward.
Which
that
is scary.
It's okay. It's okay. Embrace the fear, Matt. Embrace the fear.
Well, so, for example...
It is scary to some people.
It's scary to me. It's just moving so fast. Yes. I think at some point...
But you sound like you're 87 years old right now.
I've come to the realization...
You realize that, right?
I've come to the realization that at some point in my life, we're all going to have a tech overlord, right? And it's
we already do. It's our phones right now.
And who do you choose to kind of be a part of, right?
Sure.
So you can get into the Apple ecosystem, which I've drinking all the Apple Kool-Aid. I'm all in. They're gonna have my $40 a month for their Apple One and my $1,000 a year for equipment for the rest of my life. I've come to terms with that, right? But at what point is it like too much? Like
I think it's a personal decision.
Like we're essentially paying them tax.
Yeah, but that is not it's basically the level of decision making you're talking about to slow down innovation, to stop these things it can only be done at the government level, right?
Which I don't want the government to get involved.
I get it, but that's it can only the only way it's practical to enforce and execute what you're talking about is on the governmental level, right?
Correct.
Okay. So if the government started dictating these things to me or you, we would rail against that.
I agree. But why can't they have discussion about it? And even if the government is saying, hey, we're going to start a committee and we're going to start...
I mean, there are discussions. There are discussions, but it's slow, Matt. That part is slow. Yeah. The nature of law, of legislation, of change in government is slow. I mean, for example, look at weed. And is it legal across the nation? No. 10 years ago, how many states were legalized? 20 years ago, it was none, by the way. Maybe medical, certain things, but it's progressing very slowly. But can you imagine 60 years from now, anyone is 80 years in government being like, no weed. Let's not legalize the recreational use of weed. No, probably not. There's not a chance, I think. That is what I'm referring to in terms of time, in terms of the shifts in the Overton window. What is acceptable to society, to people now? And that starts to expand or contract. And right now, it's going to expand in the near future into things like AI and that discussion and all those things, right? I think once that becomes more and more popular, it gets to a critical mass, things start happening, then that starts to engender change. But I think that's part of the process. If you slow the innovation part of it down, then that part will also slow down.
I guess I'm just a little more... as I get older, I'm starting to realize
sound old.
I'm more conservative than I thought.
Okay.
And I like things to... I don't want things to change so fast. I'm not against change. I'm not against progress.
Yeah.
But it just feels like there's just so much change going on so quickly right now in all aspects of life, not only technology, just in general.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming.
Okay.
And I just kind of wish we had a way to make it a little more consumable. Whereas I feel like every day I wake up, the world is different. And it's happening at a rate I've never experienced before. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and my time is slowing down versus the rest of the world, or that the world itself is ramping up change.
I'm sure that's how many people have felt throughout history.
You think?
I know.
I mean,
I know.
I know that's how people have always felt, but it hasn't changed. I mean, think about it. 15 years ago, we had no smartphones.
Well, imagine 100 years ago, Matt. Like cars and planes were new.
Correct.
You think people were saying things are moving to? Absolutely, they were.
But to
You
get
know,
from
TV then comes up.
to get from
This is not
TV
new.
one to like the iteration of TV now, we had 100 years, 50, 70 years of gap. We went from no iPhone to iPhone to being, 8 hours on your iPhone.
Yeah.
That happened in 10 years.
Yeah, all this is a hockey stick, though. Technology is like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, yes, while I agree with you on the outset in terms of the measurement of years,
Yeah.
the market change, though, is it makes sense for how it goes. It's going to be a hockey stick in terms of how things innovate.
Previous generations, change happened over the course of their lifetime. For
No,
us, over a generation, maybe not a lifetime, over a generation,
mean-
30 years or so, you've seen drastic change, what it felt like. We see drastic
sure,
change
it
in the
gets
course of
faster and faster.
5 years.
I think it's faster and faster.
but it's just going to keep on getting faster.
Okay, you're saying you have a problem with that.
I do.
I have zero problem with that. I think it's a good thing.
I think it's too much.
I think it's good.
I think technology accelerates progress, but it's going to get to a point where it's accelerating it faster than we can comprehend and make it efficient. We're going to lose efficiency at some point.
I
Where
think we're making.
it's going to get so, like, we're going to become either so unnecessary or the bottom half of citizenship that's going to have no use. There's people who literally don't have the brain power to be smart enough to run AI, write code for the AI, and what are they supposed to do at that point? You
Well, eventually AI is gonna be
market's
writing
gonna
its
get
own
really
code.
Small. The labor market of what's necessary will become so small that we'll have so many people that can't get a job. What are they supposed to do?
Well, it'll create more jobs. And
it
what are they supposed to
reducing-
do? The answer is change, and that's what we're railing at. What we're talking about right now is aversion to change, and how
Correct.
hard that is. It is hard.
Yeah,
I agree. And people generally don't like change.
And ask me 20 years ago, I would have been like, change. What? Of course we want to change.
Yeah.
This sucks. I want things to be better, but now I don't know. Maybe I'm older.
Is that the end goal for AI though? Is to make our life better and easier, or is it to make people richer faster?
Well, in our lifetime, we're gonna have bots, like physical bots that do shit around the house for you.
I don't think these are bad. I think it's change, and it scares.
I've
most
seen a
human
lot.
beings.
I love sci-fi movies.
Same.
I watch them all.
Yeah.
And everything in the movie that I thought was like so crazy, it's not crazy anymore.
Yeah.
It's getting too real too fast.
I think it's a good thing.
Is it?
Yes.
Because every single one of those sci-fi movies, it's always end of the world shit. Right? I've never seen a sci-fi movie where they have all this technology and it ends well.
Have you seen
Never.
Wall-E, the movie Wall-E?
Yeah.
So like everything becomes automated, and everybody's just like riding around in chairs, and they're fat and disgusting and like unhealthy, and like because everything's automated, they aren't required to do anything. So is that what we want our future to be like?
Well, one, we have a choice. That's one thing I would say.
Yeah.
Two, inevitably, I don't think you can stop this. I think it's part of human nature. I'm not talking about individuals, like my preferences versus yours.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that is the plight of human beings, is that we will have to choose to say this is good for us, this is not good for us, or we should do this and we shouldn't do this, even when it is available to us. When we don't have to work, when we don't have to do anything, do we still do it?
Of course.
But that's the point, is I think the choice, having the choice, is not a bad thing. And if we choose all the wrong things, we don't deserve to be fucking around, man.
But it's gonna happen.
Okay.
Then what? Like, ever seen that movie, Idiocracy, I think it's called?
Yes.
With Dax Shepard?
Yes.
Where it's in the future and
No.
everyone's
Dak
stupid?
with
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson's brother,
Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson. I don't know the difference between
And
them.
Terry Crews is president?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I feel like that's where we're going.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's not a good thing.
Not where we're going. I think we've been there.
That's not a good thing.
Recently. I think we've been there.
That is not a
with
good thing.
A certain head of state. I agree and disagree at the same time. I think that is part of the progression.
Like, I watched that movie, that and Ready Player One, and I watched all these like crazy like future movies, and all I can think is we are either there or heading there. It's inevitable, and every single one of those movies ends badly.
Okay, but you're talking about cinema,
Correct?
dictating your view of the future. I think, yes, there's this perennial discussion about art imitating life imitating art, etc. I still get down to the deeper level of this is what we are as human beings. this is our plight. We have to suffer ourselves. And I think that's part of being human. Like, you have to make your choices. That's it. Like, I think we do our best to help those who can't help themselves. That's a different thing entirely. But as a race, as a civilization, we have to figure these things out. And I don't think slowing it down, or trying to stop it from happening is going to be the path that saves us.
And again, it's not about stopping it. I think progress and advance in technology is inevitable.
But what about then adapting to the speed of that?
I think there's only so fast that people can adapt to, because you're not talking about just a small segment of people. You're trying to adapt the entire population.
That's true.
Once you extrapolate out to the ends, because we're, in the middle of population, we pick up technology very quickly. If technology changed at a ridiculously fast rate, I'm not worried that I'm not going to keep up. I'm fully confident that I would keep up. But would everyone else keep up? And I don't think so. We're just going to leave so many people behind and create this crazy gap between people who understand it and don't, which we're already there now.
Yeah, it's. I agree. That's widening.
And it's going to get wider and wider. We have a younger generation of people that's all they know. They rely on it.
But then that becomes a question about not technology necessarily, but distribution of wealth and social well-being, and whether.
And maybe they go hand in hand.
Yeah, maybe. But I think, one has a greater impact than the other. I think technology is a part of that, sure. But social policy and how we, think of taking care of each other, I think that is a much greater component and would dictate more of our future than just flat out technology and the rate of change.
When you ask people in high school, what do you want to be when you grow up? Number one thing people say is, I want to be a YouTuber or a TikToker or content creator or something.
High school, middle school.
Middle school even. And I find that extremely concerning. At the same time, here we are making content. So it's kind of hypocritical at the same time.
I don't find it concerning.
I think it's very concerning.
It's part of the change, Matt.
Everyone can't do it. It just doesn't work that way.
Do you think 80 years ago that any kid said they wanted to be an astronaut? Was that concerning then in the 60s and 70s? An astronaut. We should stop this. Stop all this progression in technology.
I think everybody felt that was unrealistic, though. Like when they say, yeah, okay, Johnny, pat him on the head. Yeah, right. Because the odds of that happening are like zero.
And can we go?
They were actually higher then than they are now because the rate of how many people. But my point is.
And can I state that I don't think people actually went to the moon? Okay.
Now I know who I'm dealing with.
Yeah, I don't think they actually went to the moon.
It was just a really good production.
Yeah, great production.
Yeah. Is the Earth flat too?
Oh
my God!
I've never seen it. I'll tell you when I see it.
Are birds real?
Oh my goodness. This is all a simulation anyway. We live in one. We're just batteries. I don't even know where I was going with what I was saying earlier now.
Sorry. I've been watching a lot of YouTube, and I love conspiracy theories,
right there,
and I just go so far deep into these conspiracy theories. And number one, I find them extremely interesting because it kind of shows you where you are. I like anytime there's an idea and everyone says it's wrong, I automatically assume it's right. Because if you fade the masses, typically you end up being right in the long term. It's how it's been the last 5-10 years. Right?
I object to certain aspects of what you're saying, but I understand what you're trying to communicate.
Correct.
I don't necessarily agree, but I will say that there is a certain amount of healthy suspicion that we all should apply to things in our lives. But it comes down to, in my opinion, personal choice and what you choose and would prefer to think about, work with, how to go forward in life. That's what it comes down to, personal choice. Whether there's a conspiracy or not, or it's everyone says this way versus, or really most people, not everyone, says one thing this way, one thing that way. Okay, make your own choices though. I'm big on personal responsibility.
Of course, you take all the information available to you and you make your own choice.
And you can
And you look at it from every angle.
You can figure things out for yourself. Yeah.
I agree. But the bots have taken over.
The bots have always been a pain in my ass. However, the bots are just more and more sophisticated these days. And when that happens, it becomes a bigger problem. And when problems get bigger and bigger, then we tend to solve them. So again, I think it's okay because then we're going to get to the solution for these problems sooner.
We know that algorithms decide what you see. The algorithms know you better than you know yourself, which is very scary.
Oh, okay.
Right?
They know what you want to see. They know what you'll watch.
They know what you want to watch.
Yeah, I think it's different than knowing me.
I think they know you if they know what you want to watch. They know where you want to spend your time. They know what you want to buy before you know what you want to buy. They know what you want to listen to before you know what you listen to. They know who you want to see in real life.
I think that depends on your personal level of self-awareness, but okay, for most people.
For most people, yeah. You can say, "Oh, I'm different," but maybe you are because
we're all
off.
unique. But
yeah, but at the same time, they can figure out what you want, right? They
sure.
remember when we did the thing on
what
Google.
You want to watch or buy. I don't think that's who we are necessarily.
I mean, what else is there?
Well, I think there's a whole realm of thought, possibilities, options, choices that we make that are outside of what we buy and what we watch. For example, who you spend your time with, who you talk to, who you date.
Correct.
What color? What's your favorite color? Where do you like to go to spend time to relax? What do you like to do to get energy?
Google knows all that.
Well,
answer to all those
if I haven't
questions.
seen you in a while, right? And I'm scrolling through Instagram, and Instagram doesn't show you only who you follow these days, right? Actually,
Yeah.
it decides if it's going to show you who you follow or it's going to show you something completely random. So the algorithm is deciding what you see on your Instagram, right? You're not. And out of nowhere, it'll show me something of Hoss. And I haven't seen you in a while. Maybe I haven't seen a post or anything from you in a while. But Instagram decided to show me. And I'm like, I miss Hoss. I'm going to call him. I didn't decide that. AI did.
Yeah.
They told me I missed you.
Right.
And I called you
Fair.
to say that they don't know me because they know I like you. They know I interact with you. They know that we communicate.
They know the result of some of your habits. But again, I'd argue that it's not for many people. It's the same, but it's not the same. For many people, the answer of the result of your habits is who you are. It's not for everybody.
And I think that makes more sense when you close it into like individuals. But when you extrapolate it over a lot of people, then I think the AI is actually stronger than you think. So we have this freedom of choice on a small basis, individual per example. Yes, I'm in my individual. But when you take 1 million of me and you extrapolate it out, they probably know me better than I do, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with your
And
logic.
that is what scares me.
However, the concept of knowing you better, I mean, it depends. Like, I know that Google does not know me better than I do because I don't participate as much as most people.
It's true.
I don't do that.
We did, I think it was a couple of summers ago, we went through the exercise of looking up what our Google advertising preferences were. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we were looking through it.
Vaguely.
We were looking through it, and it tells you like roughly your age, like what you do.
Yeah.
If you have employees, like what your interests are. And I remember looking through that and going, fuck, that's really accurate.
I remember mine being like, nope.
I remember watching going,
I remember
damn,
seeing-
this is like me.
I remember
How do they
seeing-
know that?
You know what I remember? I remember that makes sense if you didn't actually know me. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
It made sense if you didn't actually know me. If you had a certain amount of interaction with me,
Correct.
you make assumptions and they were fair assumptions.
But how many people in the world ever get past that level anyway?
Oh, I think you're right. It's not the norm.
Yeah. For what Google knows, they know more than
Sure.
your acquaintance would know.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you for most people.
Maybe they know you less than your wife knows you. But
Or some people more than their wives, right?
True.
Or husbands.
True.
Yeah.
Because, Sometimes you search things on Google that you don't ever talk to your
that you
wife
don't tell
about.
people about,
You
yeah.
know, that
Yeah,
incognito browser don't do anything.
I don't disagree with you here.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say that you're right in the majority of cases, for sure. But, you know, I think a lot of it has to do with how much you participate, how much you choose, and if you're a creature of habit.
True.
I also don't like things that are the same maybe you can predict the change in what direction it'll go and, you know, get advanced algorithms and analytics. But, the very little time that I've spent on Instagram or whatever, TikTok, I get off of it very quickly because it's nothing I want to see. Nothing at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Not a damn thing.
But
and it pisses me off.
You're an extreme extrovert and you prefer being with people.
That's true.
You're rare. More people are even more introverted than they've ever been. People like being in front of their screens more than they like being with people now.
Yeah.
People are more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So you would be the exception where
agree.
the general mass is.
Which I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. The majority of people, I agree. One, I can't speak for them, though. I can only speak for myself.
Correct.
But two, I can make reasonable assumptions based on that. And I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right for the majority of human beings.
So it goes back to, I want to start a podcast studio.
Well, it looks like you've done that, Matt. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the idea was that I want to rent it out so that people can have these discussions because, again, people are looking for ways to create content.
And debate the morality of AI.
And debate the morality of AI. Again, I argue that we've already lost. But I don't know if it's something that can actually be a business or if it's something that, like, how much effort.
Well, I don't know either, but as an entrepreneur, how do you know? You put it in market. I mean, you do some customer discovery, which you've done. You know there's a lot of people.
Correct.
You interact with people. You know
Correct.
who they are. You have an idea, and you know you're now you got to test product market fit. That's what you got to do. And how do you test that? You put it in market.
That's true.
There are no new ideas inside the building, as one of my old mentors used to say, Steve Blank. You got to go outside the building. You got to do shit. And I think you put this out there. That's what you do. And you see how it works and you just give it some time and you decide how much personal investment you want to make into it and how long, you know, it makes sense for you to try.
Yeah, I think that's really I think that's the main thing I wanted to talk to you about was, you know, anytime
You
I
mean
have a
it wasn't
business idea.
AI?
No, I don't even know how we got there. Anytime I have a business idea, I call you and I bounce ideas off of you.
Oh, I enjoy it.
And
I'm
sometimes,
honored, by the way, that you think of me.
yeah,
this way.
you're like, what do you say? Oh, my consigliere.
Consigliere.
Consigliere. That's not an easy word to say, by the way. Consigliere. And
I mean, if you're Italian, it's pretty easy.
I'm Italian.
I'm not Italian either, by the way.
But you look more Italian than I do.
Thanks. Fair. That's fair. I could maybe pass for it.
You could
Yeah.
pass. I'm not passing.
No, I'm not Italian.
And,
But as your
and-
business consigliere,
correct.
what
Do you think it has legs?
I think it could. And I don't think any one person right now
Mm-hmm.
knows enough of this market locally
Correct.
to tell you yes or no. However, I will say that it has become, even in the last 2 years, even with that Rodecaster Pro 2 that you have,
Correct.
right? It has become easier and easier.
Yes.
So maybe not, but I don't think it's gone. I think there's still opportunity. Absolutely.
And if you want to start a podcast,
yeah,
do you want to buy all this equipment, learn how to use it before you even know if you're any good at it or if you enjoy it?
I think most people starting podcasts on the side are not doing it because they're good at it. They want to participate in something. They want to create something.
Correct. Average podcaster does 7 episodes before they quit.
They quit. Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely.
Which is not that many.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. And that makes perfect sense to me.
Do you want to put in 10 grand or 20 grand or 5 grand even to find out if you're going to like something 2 months later? It's a big investment.
I totally agree. In fact, it makes more sense if you're a business to not spend the capex to rent. You know, I mean,
hire a sound engineer.
and so what I'm saying
and
is,
hire a mic
that's
to
right.
do your thing.
And I think, and I would say that your ideal customer set isn't Joe Bob at home.
It's a business.
Businesses. Exactly.
I agree.
I totally agree with that. Then it's a matter of how do you market and then what differentiation do you have? I think part of it is locale for you, because where I live or where my production studio is and all that stuff, this is a dime a dozen, right? It's more expensive too, but there's a lot of infrastructure out here. I mean, no offense, but in the fucking boonies,
I'm like 10 minutes out of the city.
You
make it sound like I'm so
you
far.
are 35 minutes from my house.
It takes you 35
North
minutes to
Buckhead.
go to Whole Foods from your house because of traffic.
No, that's not true.
34.
It's that, like, what is it? The East Cobb mindset.
People in the city think their time is so valuable, but yet they spend 10 minutes to get to their car.
I don't.
Well, by the way,
Yeah.
there was a shooting in your neighborhood
Yes.
of like this old lady.
Yes.
I saw it on news over the weekend.
Stabbing.
70-something-year-old lady
Yep. Carjacking. She was in
her gated home.
well, it was a townhouse near the intersection,
but it was in
a
that
gated community.
it was in the nice part of town.
First of all, gated communities are like
Farce.
Yeah, it just makes you feel better. It doesn't actually stop people. So
obviously.
Second of all, it was in a community, so tons and tons of houses, so someone can go and look for an opportunity and just case everything.
They made it sound like
I know
she was behind her gated house.
That's why they said that,
because in West Paces Ferry, there's a lot of gated houses.
That's the thing.
You have a gated house,
correct?
So I thought it was that type of situation.
It is very close to me, but it's not the situation at all. But you're right, because it's off of West Paces, which is a very prestigious, road, old money, ATL, that type of stuff. And it was off that road, but it's right next to the intersection where there's a lot more happening.
Okay.
The main intersection of like North Side and West Paces. And it was in that community, gated, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Every community in Georgia is gated.
Yeah, there's a lot of communities that are gated. Also, by the way, when like my house is gated, but it really is just
A gate?
hopeful deterrence.
Yeah.
It's not like it's gonna stop everybody.
Because you can walk around it.
No, you can't. But you could, if you really wanted to, you could get through, right? If you like drove your car through the trees, you could. It's not that hard. My point is that all of my neighbors, not all of them have that. So what's going to happen is, if mine is very difficult to get to, are they going to go to mine, or are they going to my neighbors? They're going to my neighbors.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it's just a deterrent. But the other ways are that, okay, if you have a gated community, people are a lot. They act a lot more openly. They worry less, and that's where it starts to be concerning, right? Like where people are, I'll leave my doors open, I'll leave my garage open, I'll leave all this stuff open because I live in a gated community. That's a concern. Two, the neighborhood. I mean, our neighborhood, my neighborhood, has been targeted for a long time.
Correct.
Because where do you have the highest opportunity, in terms of value and things and what people keep and, how much cash they might have on them or valuable things. And the least likelihood of being, caught or shot, et cetera. So if you're targeting effectively, the ROI is best in that neighborhood, right? And then if you have a quick ingress and egress, like very next to an intersection, next to a highway, et cetera, that's another concern. I mean, I'm not telling, this is how a logical criminal might think, but I'm not saying it's always the case. So what I'm saying is that it didn't seem... It is not as crazy as they made it sound on the news, because I saw that.
Yeah.
It is still concerning, which is one of the reasons why Buckhead, as a neighborhood, had considered seceding from the city of Atlanta.
Correct. Which didn't happen.
Because
it's not going to happen, right?
No, that's not necessarily the case. It did not. It was delayed. The vote was delayed because the new mayor
said that she's going to put a new police station there.
Former mayor was she. Keisha Lance Bottoms left, and then the new mayor was like, I'm going to put a police, which he did, and it's improved tremendously. So it's now a question still. It'll happen maybe in the next year or two where it becomes another question. But that's why it is of great concern to people in the neighborhoods, because if there's more coverage, if we have our own police force, et cetera, we can handle those things a lot better. The other major issue with this, though, is that we account for like 70% of the Atlanta budget.
Correct.
A very small part of Atlanta I pay for a very large portion of the city of Atlanta, which is very large.
Except the roads. Y'all's roads suck over there.
Exactly. But that's exactly our point, though.
Yeah.
If our
pay all this money, but yet don't get the services.
I pay 70% and I get 7%. Like that's, I'm making that up. But I don't get the benefit of what I'm paying for. And I guarantee you I'm paying, people like me, my neighbors, et cetera, we're paying a very large amount in comparison to others.
which makes me more happy that I don't live there.
Yeah, fair.
And
I mean,
I like what you call the boonies.
Yeah.
You know, it takes me 15 minutes to get to your house if I need to.
15? That's
20
a lie.
minutes?
That's a lie.
What do you mean it's a lie?
bald-faced lie.
20 minutes to get to your house. 20 minutes.
Bald face.
20 minutes.
Not at all.
20 minutes.
Pull
Door
it
to
right now
door.
and wait. Put it
Door
on
to
Waze.
door.
Put it on Waze right now.
All right.
See what happens.
All right. Waze.
Yeah, Waze is more accurate than Google Maps.
What?
Definitely. I mean, everyone agrees that Apple Maps is garbage. Yeah.
I use Apple Maps now.
Oh my God! You did say you were.
I'm pretty sure I told you that I'm
You're drinking the
deep.
Kool-Aid.
I'm balls
Yeah,
deep in Apple.
You know, Apple Maps was so bad like 7-8 years
It's
ago.
fantastic.
It's improved. It's improved a lot, but
I-
Waze is still the best.
The difference between Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze is so marginal at now.
yeah, it is. It's
that
getting small and smaller.
I don't mind. Hold on.
You know what? Figure it out because I have to. I do have to get going for a call with an investment banker. Recent
28
business.
minutes.
It says 31 for me.
Well, I did it to the Goldbergs because I didn't want to plug in your house.
Are you showing it right now?
Well, I don't want to not be sure. Like, hey, what's your address?
Okay.
You don't have to find it.
My point is that it's over 30 minutes.
It's
so.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's 30 minutes.
Exactly.
In the
And
middle
that's
of the
'cause
day.
there's No traffic. Exactly.
It's the middle of the day.
If
This
there's
is when it's
traffic,
busy.
affordable. Yeah, fair. No, we agree on that. So yeah, thank you for one considering me in such high regard
Yep.
that you would ask my opinion and participation, and two, it's been fun. Thank you for the experience.
Awesome.
I think a lot of what you have to figure out and decide is going to be on your marketing and positioning and differentiation.
Yep.
Right. But I think again, your locale, as we were getting to, your locale helps
Correct.
you there. Also, you probably start with people you have personal relationships with. You know,
Which I know a lot of interesting people, fortunately. I think part of it, well, it's really a twofold thing. One, am I going to actually podcast long term, and do I enjoy doing it? Do people enjoy listening to it? Because I don't know if I have access to a lot of interesting people. Fortunate of being in the hobby that I was in for many years, that I've been able to develop a lot of interesting relationships with people.
that's how we met.
Correct.
Yeah.
The second part is actually being able to turn it into a business that's not just a podcast.
Yeah.
And
By the way, between the hobby and the business, I think the business has likely more longevity.
I
than
think so
the
too.
Hobby
yeah, the
for
hobby
you
is
personally.
that's exactly what it is. Like, how much do I put into doing an episode on a weekly basis, or 2 a week or 3 a week? I mean, once you get into content creation mode, it's a grind.
I do know. You and I both know.
And after a while, it's a job.
Yep.
Not like, I do it because it's fun. After like a month or 2 or 3 months of it, it's like, I gotta
6
do it
months
again.
or a year.
I gotta do it again. I gotta do it again.
Absolutely.
I mean,
And
I
if you
made
don't
maybe
absolutely
100
love it-
videos.
Exactly. And if you don't absolutely love it, then you're gonna probably fall off.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I enjoy the process of it. It comes with just a lot of downsides to it too.
Yeah.
Number one, people in the street, which was really weird for me after a while. Getting recognized in the street. I'm not famous at all.
Yeah.
And then I'll be with someone that's really famous, like Harrison,
Yeah.
who's everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, it's kind of uncomfortable.
I have experienced this because of being in Harrison's videos and all that stuff. And I would say that every other time I'm in an airport with a hat and no mask, someone recognized me, which is crazy. They're like, "Hey, Hoss," right? I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like, yeah, I see you on Harrison's videos, or I've seen 1 out of 10 times. It's I like your videos.
Yeah.
Like mine. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit," or "Oh yeah." Then 1 out of 20, it's like I love the Flexcast.
Yeah.
But that's tolerable to me. But at certain levels, people have told me, "Oh, you're gonna hate it." I am a pure extrovert. I don't mind it. What I don't like, and I like my privacy in certain times. When I'm out in public, fine. I am fair game to interact with. But if I'm trying to be private, fuck you.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm in my home, I'll be hounded.
Of
That'd
course,
be a very
of course.
different thing. So I mean, I get where you're coming from.
Well, I think the moment for me was I think I was at Avalon, and I was in like the Valley area.
But see, that's a different thing. Personally versus our cars. Like our cars are,
Yeah, I mean,
used to dictate.
I don't mind people coming to say hi.
Yeah.
It's that I remember there was a lady and her like 10-year-old kid, and she came up, she's like, "Hey, my son wants to take a picture with you. Like, can you take a picture with him?" And I was like, he's number one, he's really young. Number two, like,
So
all of a sudden I felt like a social responsibility to like be like better.
Interesting.
because
Is this all a bad thing?
I don't know, because I mean, I made a lot of videos driving really fast, hanging out the side of my car, right? That was like a majority of my videos.
I might not have remembered that.
Of course, you're in a lot of them. And after that happened, like one time I was like, okay, that's fine. Number two, it happens. And then after a while, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It's not the best thing.
Well, I think if you're honest and authentic, I think it's okay. For example, if you then did a video like, hey, you know what? In the past few years, I've been doing some crazy shit. I don't think it's smart. I don't think it's a great thing to do.
No one wants to hear that too.
But that's what I mean. But it's not about pandering. It's about being authentic and who you are.
Yeah.
I would say that it would all be fine if you were truly authentic.
Yeah.
With in your videos and saying your
and which
thoughts
I feel like I've always been. I think most people would say that. However,
when you made them, but then
on
you stopped
video,
making the videos though. So that's what I'm saying. It's like it progresses and changes.
Correct.
If you keep making the videos, that's fine.
And you change over time. People change over time. I've changed a lot, I think, over the last 2 years. I haven't made a video since 2020. I think it was the last video I made. So it's 2022 now? Probably.
Well, you kind of had a hiatus for a little while, then came back to making some videos.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know where this goes.
Really fast there for a while.
I know.
And then stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And then came back slowly, little bits
slowly,
here,
slowly.
Then stopped again. Yeah.
We'll see if it becomes a thing.
But I do like this idea.
Okay.
I like the concept. I don't know enough about the market to say, here's the viability of it.
And there is not enough market research done out there to even have a gauge, which is why it's more interesting.
But there's only and because you're hobbyist in part of it, there's not a massive barrier of entry for you to do that.
Correct.
And I think that that's part of your differentiation. It's easier for you to do that. There are greater barriers, whether it's knowledge, cash, etc., time, space. I think those are your advantages right now. And then you could be an early mover in the market right now in this locale.
Hopefully.
So, yeah, but I think those things you have on your side. The rest, who the fuck knows?
Well, I mean, if it does well in this location, I'd like to have one, multiple.
Okay, we'll do it well here first.
Exactly. If I have one, then I want two, I want three, I want four. Is it something that can scale to 10 or 15 or 20 or 100 is really the question.
Well, depending on the economics. I mean, we've got to figure that out too. Like, are the margins worth it?
That's what I'm trying to figure out now.
See if you can get business. See if you can get,
can it make money?
Can it make money?
For one
right?
location?
Yeah, let's one step at a time. But I don't think you should put all that on yourself up front. I think you should put it out there, see how it goes, figure out the business motions of this is, someone comes in and what time of the day and how long and how much you edit it, how much you offer your services. Figure that shit out first before you worry about of course, profitability, scaling, etc.
Of course.
Which you know well. This isn't new to you. However, I would remind you that in any new venture, because it's been a while, right? You got to remember that a lot of this is just iteration, is figuring it out.
True.
And with relatively low investment from you, you could potentially have something valuable on your hands, and you don't know until you try it.
On that note, appreciate you coming out.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy. Can we get some outro music? We had music. We never used it.
We can use it now.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, man.